By now, many of you guys have seen my videos on reselling and making money online. And a common question that I get is, how did this all start? How did I get into the world of making money online, building businesses, and kind of trying to make something for myself and actually having success with a few different businesses? Because as you guys know, my eBay sales this year are going to be, I would say, between 40 and 60, maybe even £70,000, and that's only one of my income streams. So a lot of you guys want to know the origin story, and I'm going to be giving that to you today. This one's going to be me just giving you a story, telling you how things started. There's not really a message here. I'm going to let you know that, 40 seconds into the video. I'm just going to be telling you what happened on my journey. It's more of a story time. So for this, we need to go back well into the mid 2010s, I'd say, maybe a little bit later than that. But so I was born in 2003. Let's do the maths together. We need to go to about 2016, I'd say. And even prior to that, I'd always known that making money in different ways was an option. Because for a bit of context on my story, right, when we were growing up, my parents weren't rich. I saw my parents working hard, and I mean genuinely hard, right? We never went without stuff, I'm not going to lie, but we were never rich by any measure. So I kind of realised that work didn't always work. And I always say the experiences that you live are an absolute privilege, even if they're the worst in the world. I don't think that my experience was that bad at all. However, at the same time, this was a really eye-opening thing because, seeing the fact that people can go to work all day and still not have that much money it made me question a few things from a young age. And even before that, I always wanted to try at least and have nicer things. And I mean pretty nice things, like nicer cars, nicer houses. I mean, you'd look at the stuff on TV, or at least I would, and I think, yeah, I want to live in a place like that, or I want to have a car like that. So I always realised that A, work doesn't necessarily work, and B, there are nice things out there, even if they're not in our area, right? And I used to now and again see, let's say, a supercar like a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, and I was just thinking, right, so this car is worth, let's say, 300,000, maybe more, maybe less, it depends on what model, obviously, and I'm like, so the average salary is what, like 28k? How can somebody afford to have a car like this? This car probably costs more than that to service. So I was always questioning things. And then I decided to look into this a bit more. I decided to start making money for myself, or get into the world of making money for myself. The first thing that I ever tried making money with, I would say, that worked successfully, or the first thing that springs to mind because of how well it worked, was reselling. This was on eBay, and it's kind of a story that's going to come full circle by the end. So I was about, I think, 13, maybe 14 at the time, maybe even a bit younger than that. And I was able to use my nan, my grandmother's eBay account. She let me, and I was reselling all sorts of stuff. Eventually, I kind of saved up enough money to buy, at the time, an iPhone 4. If you guys are of my generation, you'll remember this. If you're younger, that might just sound like some sort of a relic. And I was just selling these iPhone 4s. I remember it being a common thing. So you'd buy them for about, let's say, 25, 30, maybe £40, depending on the condition. You could maybe sell them for between 35, 40, 50, £60. So this was a little thing that I did. And I did it successfully for a time. But eventually it became a little bit tired. And, imagine when you're young and you invest in all of your pocket money or savings, and an item gets returned or an item gets damaged. I think that was what actually led to me giving up on this business at the end, because my nan was like, no, I don't want to do this. I know you're doing it, but the stresses of it, the fees, etc. Fair enough, So that sat dormant for a number of years. The next big thing that I tried, this was when I was about 13, was making content on YouTube. And the reason for this is kind of obvious, I would imagine. As I'm sure a lot of you guys know, for at least 10 years now, the YouTuber, or nowadays even TikToker or Twitch streamer lifestyle has been portrayed to us. And you see all these guys on the internet with Lamborghinis, Ferraris. And going back to the point that I just made of me thinking, I want a Lamborghini, I want a Ferrari, I was like, this is my answer. So around about age 13, I filmed my first YouTube video. It was a gaming video. I wasn't even on the camera. It was literally just me playing a handheld game on my phone, which at the time was it was actually a new Samsung, Samsung S6. I remember it. So I filmed a game, uploaded it, barely any views. The thing that really, I think, set me apart from a lot of other people, because a lot of kids in my school were doing this at the same time, is a lot of people gave up with their content creation. Because just like it was on this channel for my first couple of videos, just like it was on my second channel, which I'm going to get to the story of in a minute, who's going to stay there and get no views, or 10 views, or 1 view per video? No one's going to do that. It feels like a failure. So everyone that I knew gave up, but I was really motivated, or in the sense I knew that one day's not enough, 1 week's not enough, 1 month's not enough, 1 year's not even enough. So I think I uploaded like 400 videos, and a couple of them got like 10k views, maybe a bit more than that, maybe a bit less. And I remember it as a story. This is one of the first stories where I realised how wrong everybody else's mindset towards money kind of was, or at least that's how I perceived it at the time, and I don't actually disagree with that point now. So I went to someone that I knew, and I was explaining the fact that, I'm going to be making like £5, because bear in mind at this point I wasn't getting a lot of views, but I was getting enough to get some money coming in, and I was still like 14, let's say. So I was like, I'm going to make £5-10 a week from YouTube videos. And my parents were quite supportive. A lot of family members were supportive, but some of the people who I told, and I remember this, I will always remember this as a memory, laughed at it. Like, it's like proper laughed at it. Like, that's a scam. It's not going to work. It doesn't work for people like us. No one gets paid, but you're going to get paid by Google, really, for making videos? Yeah, sure. Fast forward a couple of years, I'm going to explain how it worked out. They weren't laughing when the paycheck was like £2,500 a month, but we'll get to that in a second. So £5 at aged about 14 is obviously going to be enough. Lifestyle inflation is real as you come from your mid-teens to your 20s, right? And naturally it's going to be, because you've got things to pay, bills, car, house. Lifestyle is going to inflate. But at the same time, I was like balling. I had cash, I had savings, I had money to spend, I had money to buy sweets at school, I could buy some new shoes, whatever, anything that I wanted. And of course the channel kind of grew slowly. Eventually I had a video, a gaming video. This was a gaming channel, which blew up. And when I say blew up, I mean like 1 million views. 1 million views. And from that point, it was it. That was it on this channel. It really was. So this is when the money really started to pick up. Then we were talking a couple of hundreds a week, maybe even a couple thousand a month, like I say, get up to 2,500 a month eventually. I was just grinding out videos on this channel for years. This channel eventually got up to about 20k subscribers. This is true. Eventually we had some content issues. I don't even know how. I don't even know why. Content issues. I had some issues and restrictions with my YouTube account. So kind of that was the end of that story. And I don't even know. I think it's because it was gameplay and I don't even know. Because it was like original gameplay done by me. No idea. But I had some issues with that account. I don't even know what they were. Even to this day, I have no idea. And it was a real shame, because here's another story. I had at the time, because my channel was starting to pick up, somebody reached out to me. This is no word of a lie. This is true. Bear in mind, a couple of years have gone by now. So I'm like 16, 17, which is still not bad. Making a couple thousand a month. Obviously at this point I'm rich. Relative to all my peers, rich. I've got everything. And I know, looking back, some people are going to say, well, bear in mind, I came from the story that I outlined before. My parents didn't have much money. People in my school, people in my environment were broke as well. They came from broke parents. So having a couple of £1,000s a month, not only was I saving a fortune, or relatively a fortune, right? Because come back to the modern context, it's nothing, but I was saving a fortune, and I was also buying stuff. Like, I was buying anything. Because at this point, right, bear in mind, you're still a child, so the things that you want to buy, or can buy, can never kind of outstrip how much money you can make. You are always making, if you're making like £3,000, £2,000 even, as a 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old, you can never spend that money. Not really. What are you going to buy? So I had like the new iPhone, I had all the clothes, the shoes. I couldn't have a car at the time because I was, especially at age 16, 17. Long story, we're going to get to it all. I had everything, right? I bought this MacBook, which is sat down there, which is, right now it's a 2015 model, so it seems old. But I remember at the time, that was a massive purchase. I was like, wow. So I was feeling pretty great at that time until the channel kind of ended. And then I had a point where life switched up, and this is where I kind of get to one of the more dark periods in my story. And I know it's one of these things where everything's relative. Some people will say it doesn't matter, some people say it's not significant and you should have just manned up or whatever. But this is just my story. I'm just telling you how my story went, right? I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. I'm just telling you my life story or my money making story. So at this point I'm like, what, 16, 17, and I am just down. Because bear in mind, this is after I've already just lost this channel. Oh, I forgot to say as well. I forgot to actually make my point. I'm kind of going on an incoherent rant here. Somebody sent the big point that I was going to say. No word of a lie. Somebody sent me a message saying, we want to be your sponsor. We want to be your video sponsor, and we want to pay you £1,000 a month. So bear in mind that this is before my channel got shut down. Bear in mind, at this point, I was already making, what, $2,500 a month. Someone wants to send me £1,000 a month to be my video sponsor. All I have to do is shout them out every video for like a minute in the video. I'm like, what's going on? What is going on in my life? And I should have probably explained this in more chronological order. Got to this before I talk about the channel getting shut down, but it's all going to kind of come together. At this point, I was just like mind blown. Because people are sponsoring my content. I'm getting money left, right and centre from making these videos. All at the same time, I'm going to school and being told how I should go and get a job in, I don't know, let's just pick any field of your choice. Business consulting for $25,000. I'm 16, making more than that. So I was mind blown. But eventually, like I say, the channel got shut down and the sponsorship deal never really went through because of that. So then we go on to the point that I mentioned a moment ago. I know I'm not doing this very well, but I guess this is just a real authentic story in a way, because yeah, I am kind of going a bit incoherent, but I'm telling you my true story here. So please do bear with me. Some things are kind of vague in the mind because we're talking now, what, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, even some of these stories. Anyway, when the channel kind of got shut down, I was in a very, very dark period because I'd gone from making all this money. And bear in mind, at 16, 17, imagine having like 20, this is years ago before TikTok was a thing. Having like 20,000 subscribers at school, in college, was a big deal. The money that I was making was a huge deal. And it kind of just went. It kind of just went. I was at my wit's end for a bit. And yes, it's going to sound naive with retrospect, but I was like 16, right? I thought this was going to be my future. And bear in mind, if I was making like £2,000 a month and growing, which it was, if that had continued for, let's say, another year, 2 years, I could have had the money for the deposit on a house. I could have had money for this or that and investing in this and all sorts. But it wasn't meant to be. And I don't really care because the story's going to take another drastic turn in a second. And this is why I think my story's kind of interesting, to me at least. I don't know if this is going to be anything interesting to you guys. Probably most of you have switched off by now. Leave us a comment if you're still watching. This is where I think my story is interesting, because it takes so many weird turns and twists and kind of works out in different ways. The next step after being at my wit's end, and like I say, this was a really, really dark period. I didn't really do anything. I literally sat in bed for most of the time being depressed. No lie. Because I was making barely any money. Coming into this period as well, to make things better, it was round about the year 2020. And you guys all know what happened then. Which was kind of the best thing in the world for me, because it allowed me to kind of essentially become a depressed bed dweller without anybody even paying attention, because nobody was even about, like, obviously my family were about, but friends weren't hanging out, school wasn't on, college wasn't on, no need to get a job, or, well, you guys kind of know what I'm saying, right? So that's that. In the 2020 period, I'd say about later in the year, maybe about June, July, August, I finally decided. I don't even know what time. It was a couple of months, let's say, and I finally decided after this couple of months, coming to the late part of the year, look, you've done all this so far. You've got two choices. You're 17, so you're still young. You're not even an adult yet, so you've got two choices. You could very easily get a job in a warehouse, stack some money, and see where that takes you. Or you could go for this mission again. You guys already know which one I went for. This was a story, and for this we need to go way back. It's funny because as I'm telling these stories to you guys, you could probably tell by the emotions on my face, I'm reliving these memories. Sometimes, some of them actually for the first time, because when you go out in the world, people don't ask you to explain your business story to them or anything. We need to go back to my college days, which they were about 2019, 2020. We're talking about the start of the world shutdown, right? At the start of the world shutdown, when we were still in college, I had this teacher, and I'll never forget this guy. This guy was great. He wasn't really the best teacher, I'll say that. But he showed me something which, to a degree, did change my life. We were in class one day, and this guy was on his phone. And he was showing the class that he had put a trade on at the time. I don't know how it worked out or whether it was a short or a long position. I can't remember. But he put a trade onto oil, like the commodity oil. And he showed me on his phone that he had made, in the course of the day, because bear in mind this is 2020, right? Everything was up and down. It was really volatile. This guy was showing me on his phone that he made £17,000 in a day. This, to me, was like, my eyes were lit up. I was like, this guy's made 20 grand in a day. That's more than I ever made anywhere. In a day. I was naive, I didn't understand stock trading or anything. But I was like, I don't even care. I need to get into this next. And I did. I actually did. So I got into the sort of trading world in the 2020 period, maybe early 2021, and I actually started documenting my journey about it on YouTube. I thought I'd utilize two of my, I'd kind of hit two things at the same time. I thought I'd make a YouTube channel where I kind of document myself learning to trade and invest. So if I learned about, let's say, what is a short position, I'll make a video called "This is what a short position is," or something like that, because I'm just portraying my knowledge, and I'm going to get feedback from the comment section as to whether I'm right or wrong. And I did. So eventually this channel was making a lot more money than my first channel, because here's the thing, right? YouTube has this thing called CPM. That is basically how much you get paid per 1,000 views. On the gaming section, my CPM was very, very low. Because it's gaming, right? The people who you're selling to, you're selling to kids, which basically means that they've got no money, which basically means that you're selling to their parents, which may not want them to play the game. It's a very low CPM industry. Finance, money, stocks, very, very high. Like I say, for 1,000 views on my first channel, I might have been getting £3-4. For 1,000 views on my second channel, I might have been getting £10, £20, £25 for 1,000 views. And bear in mind at this time, 2020, 2021, everyone was at home anyway. So there was a lot of people to watch, a lot of people did watch, and a lot of views came over to the channel. So this is literally, when I tell my story like this, it's almost like it's by the grace of God sometimes. Because if it wasn't for all of these different circumstances, the teacher, the lockdown, whatever, would I have had the knowledge about stock? Would I have ever got into the stock market at all? Probably not. Would I have ever built a second YouTube channel around the stock market? Probably not. And my life, therefore, now would be very, very different. Anyway, so at this point, I am making these videos. People are watching because it's lockdown. And it's just blowing up. 5k subs, 10k subs. I remember the day that I hit my first video, just like I will remember it on this channel, just like I remember it on my first channel. I remember it on all three. The video that changed the game. On this channel, it was the same video that I've uploaded about, 7 months ago. It's got 100k views, called Why Young People Are Leaving the West, or something like that. That was a video that showed me that this channel could work. On that channel, the first video that worked had 50 views. But I remember it, because bear in mind, even though I'd gone from my first channel, which had like 500,000 views a month, let's say for example, on this second channel, I'd gone from nothing to 50. I just woke up one morning, 57 views. Oh, this can work. This can work again. So you just double down, you make the same sort of content, and it worked. Again, now I'm making a lot of money on this channel as well. So what do I do with that money? I document and continue to document my investing journey, which I got into. How could I not? I've seen my teacher make however many thousand. I'm seeing people on YouTube make money left, right, and centre, because I'm also watching these finance channels to educate myself. I got into the stock market. First couple of investments, loss. Lost a lot of money. Lost a lot of money. Maybe hundreds. Maybe even thousands. Because bear in mind, I still had my first YouTube channel cash. I'm not going to lie, I had a lot of money in savings. So I was losing money. Fortunately for me, I was making money on my channel. But I was losing money left, right, and centre. Then I had my first successful trade. My account was still at a net loss, but I actually remember this trade. It was on Tesla. I can't remember when it was or anything like that. It was on Tesla. I can't remember the position size or anything like that, but it went to a £221 gain. And I was like, yes. Then I had a lot more losses. After that. Until eventually I bought one stock that worked. I bought one stock that really worked. Bear in mind, we're talking 2020, 2021. The markets were volatile. Everything was going up, down, left, right, and centre. And I bought this one stock, and it rocketed. Let's say I invested 5k, let's just say, which I think was about accurate. I woke up, and by midday of the same day, the same stock was trading at a point which my account saw £31,000. Just imagine this. I'm 17. 31k in my account is what I woke up to, or saw throughout the day. Now, naivety, mistakes, I held on to it a bit too long. But I didn't lose it all, I'll say that. Bear in mind, I'd gone from about 5, I was left by the time I sold with about 21. Not bad at all. Couple of good, bad trades afterwards, whatever. Spent a lot of that money on living, saved a lot of that money. To be fair, that's some money that's only just run out in the past 3 months. This was when I was 17, 18. That money's just run out when I'm 21. And now, with that money, I've bought 2 cars. I've travelled all over. I've done so much. And it's only just run out now. Anyway, when this channel started to kind of die off, because come to 2022, I'd say, markets became a lot more stable. Some of them even started to die off. People were not... Who's going to watch investment videos when the markets are losing money? No one wants to get into it. And also the boom from the pandemic is kind of down. It's done. So that was that. I could still continue uploading videos on that channel to this day, but I decided not to. So I was kind of at another point. At this point, I wasn't feeling low. When I'd lost my first YouTube channel, this was my first time experiencing loss like this related to business. So it felt like the world was ending. I didn't even lose it. When my second YouTube channel kind of died off, I was like, this is a cycle. This is a cycle. You build a business, it doesn't work, it does work. It works for a bit, it doesn't work. Whatever. So I was fine. But it left me in a new position. I'd heard so much about this dropshipping business because I'd already... Bear in mind at this point, like I say, I was 18, 19... because, you know, I'd had a bit of time, whatever. I didn't even care. I had enough savings. I was open-minded to all of these different businesses. I'd seen them work. I'd seen them not. And why not move on to something new? So I heard about this dropshipping, reselling. Now, bear in mind, I was still drawing back to my own memories as a 13-year-old with my nan, my grandma, where I was reselling iPhone 4s. So I was like... When I was doing it at my nan's house, the big worry was she's going to have to pay the fees, or she's going to run into some issues with her account, which is obviously not fair. Now, I'm an 18-year-old or a 19-year-old with enough money to not care, because I can lose 100, 200. I've done it before. It's just business. Why not try something new? But I wasn't going to go with eBay. No. I set up a Shopify store. This was my first dropshipping account. I set up a Shopify store and I was selling incense burners. It comes back to mind, right? What was it called? I can't remember what it was called. I really should, but I can't. And I really thought I was onto something here. The website was great. I put it into a subreddit, where people kind of rate the Shopify website design. Everyone said it brilliant, one of the best ones that we've seen, which was surprising because it was my first attempt. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to launch this. It's going to do super well. I think it's like, I can't remember, I think it's like £25-30 a month for your Spotify subscription. That's fine, no one cares. Fine, launch it. And we get no web traffic. No web traffic at all. Don't worry though, because we're going to start advertising this. We're going to pay for some ads. What's the best platform to advertise on? Now, perhaps it was a biased way to research it from the people who have done so, but I went on TikTok and saw TikTok ads. Spend it on TikTok ads. Spend money on TikTok ads. Long story short, I spent £500 on both TikTok and Google ads and made not a single sale. I didn't make one sale from doing this. Not a single sale. And I was down like £600 because bear in mind I paid like 2-3 months worth of fees and then the £500. Great. That's great. So at this point, yet again, I'm kind of, I wouldn't say at my wit's end. I didn't really care. I had savings. It didn't have the same sense of urgency, which is a bit, say what you want about that, but it is what it is, right? I wasn't that bothered. But I did want to make this dropshipping thing work. And I don't know what even drew my mind to this, but I sort of put two and two together. So it's like, so what platforms do I know about reselling? eBay sprang to mind straight away. I did it with my nan, right? We were making money, or at least I was under, whatever. Basically, I decided to create a reselling business on eBay. Started listing on eBay, and eventually I didn't have much success. People say, how long was it before you started making your first sales? And I give an important piece of context first. I was listing 5 items a day. And bear in mind, I came to this with the same attitude that I came with YouTube. Because YouTube, it took me, a year before I made any money. Any money really at all. Even only £5 a month. So I was expected to be waiting a month, 2 months, 3 months. The good thing about eBay was it was free. No selling fees. Well, selling fees after you've made a sale, but no advertising fees that come out before you've made any money. By the time you pay for advertising on eBay, you know you've made a sale. There was no marketing costs, any of that nonsense, right? It was free. So I could list whatever. I was listing 5 items a day. Why not? Why not? You're not making any money. You've got savings anyway, yes, but don't you want a new income stream? Of course I do. 5 items a day. Within the first month, I made 9 sales or 10 sales. I can't remember exactly. You can rewatch the old videos on this channel. Go on my channel and sort to oldest, and you'll see all my reselling videos from that time. It's not that long ago. So I sorted to, what am I trying to say? I started reselling. I've lost my train of thought now. This is what happens when you make unscripted videos. I started reselling. I was listing 5 items a day. In my first month, I made about 10 sales. Great. That already taught me enough. From my first sale, I knew that this could work. One sale was enough to prove it could work. All I needed to do is find the right products. So, 5 items a day, that's fine. Listing 5 different categories. Bear in mind, I know a lot of you guys, when you come onto my Patreon, where I teach people how to resell stuff, a lot of you guys have lives, you have kids and families. I was like, 18, 19, maybe 20. I didn't have anything else to do. I had college, then I had university, but what was I doing really, right? So why not list 5 items a day, even if it takes 2 hours, 3 hours? So that's what I was doing. Listing all the time. And from the moment I made my first sale, I knew it could work. So I just started scaling up. And then I realised that scale was where it was with this business. But also finding the right products. In the summer of, what year would this have been? 2023? Maybe 2022? You can watch it on the channel, right? The best the best credibility that I can give for this is just literally go back and watch videos from that time. Sort to old list, and you'll find all my reselling videos. But yeah, I had one item that was just selling like 5-10 times a day. It was great. I was making some serious money there. I'd actually surpassed my YouTube earnings just by reselling on eBay. But, you know, what I realised at this point with my eBay, and I hate to kind of say this, but I think it's just human nature, it wasn't as satisfying or validating as YouTube. And what I mean by that is YouTube, you had funny comments to read, good comments, praise, negativity even. It's all something that's mentally stimulating. And of course, you are reaching, knowing that you're reaching hundreds of people, if not millions of people, is a feeling like no other. So, I made a YouTube channel about reselling. It wasn't on my first day. It was an idea that I had afterwards once I realised that eBay wasn't as fulfilling. eBay was going to be the money maker. YouTube was going to be the hobby. I intended to make money from it from day one, but I didn't think it was going to be easy. I knew it was going to be hard because I'd already done it. So, yeah, started this YouTube channel and started growing it. Obviously, that's a story in itself. We don't need to explain that. That's just a long-term... That's just where we are now. We might get to it slightly in a bit, but another story. Started my YouTube channel, and then I thought, right, okay, so people are interested in this. Not only am I making sales, but I'm also making good content here, until my first eBay account got banned. I had a restriction placed on my account. I remember it. I was on holiday at the time, and this is what messed me up. I didn't know, right? We can all look back and say, well, that was a silly move. I didn't know. I had a few cases open on eBay. This is kind of something that happens anyway, because items get returned. You're supposed to refund buyers. Sometimes items don't arrive. It even happens now. But because I went away, these cases got closed kind of in the eBay system, which placed a restriction on my account. I also had a few items which, for some reason, violated eBay's policies. And then when you start to think about all that, I eventually had restrictions placed on my account. So the only option was to create a new account, which I did. That's the account that I've been running now for over... Is it over a year? I'd like to say it's probably near a year. Maybe, yes, but no. I remember it. I started it in January. So yeah, it's been about a year. I think I started it in January. So coming on to a year now, and no issues at all, because I know how to do stuff properly now. I'm educated in it. I'm not going to make the same mistakes, whatever. It's all good so far. And all I did is continue to scale at the same pace, but make sure I'm listing the proper items, make sure I'm doing stuff as correctly as I can, as above board as obviously I can, keeping on top of all the numbers, and then I created this YouTube channel, like I say. Then from there, I realised that people wanted to know what I was doing, and that in itself is a marketable skill. So I started my Patreon reselling page, which you can join if you want to learn about reselling. Yeah, I teach people how to do what I do on eBay. It really is that simple. But if you wanted to know how I got into it all, that's kind of the backstory, pretty long. Then I have this channel which has kind of devolved into everything. It's gone from just eBay to me giving my thoughts and opinions on any subject in the world. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. If you did, of course, give us a like and subscribe. I'll see you again soon.